Hello there and welcome back to the Net Report. Chris here, and welcome to a new series we are starting here called Quick Takes. Basically, the premise of this series is to cover a couple topics in the sports world in one video, each topic getting a few minutes to discuss and give my takes on each respective topic. These will range from news from the NBA, NFL, and all other major American sports leagues. So buckle up, grab your popcorn, and enjoy the video. Starting with perhaps the biggest news amongst the sports world as a whole, Lionel Messi, soccer's most coveted free agent, shocked the world by leaving PSG and Europe as a whole to join MLS's Inter Miami, which is just huge for the MLS and American soccer as a whole. Messi, who is now 35 years of age, is of course older and towards the later years of his career. However, he is still one of the best soccer players in the world and definitely the most recognizable and famous player on the planet. Coming to America to play in the MLS League is sure to spark a ton of interest into MLS soccer in a country where soccer is not really seen as one of the more dominant sports. Messi's contract deal with Inter Miami is not 100% official, as they are still working on both sides to finalize the deal. However, it is expected to be the largest deal in MLS history. He is expected to, at the end of his tenure, have part ownership for Inter Miami, profit sharing with Apple and Adidas deals, including a share of revenue in streaming, and much more. MLS is truly going all out to grow and make a presence in America, and I think it will end up working. Messi is just one of those transcendence names almost everyone has heard of, and he has a passionate, die-hard fan base. We've already seen Inter Miami's followers jump from 1 million followers to 6 million followers in just a couple days, and ticket sales completely sell out for all away Inter Miami games shortly after the news broke. We've seen soccer gain popularity throughout the US the past few years, especially during the 2022 World Cup a few months ago. So bringing in Messi to play for the United States may be the right move to get soccer booming in America. It will for sure bring hype to American soccer and will definitely bring the casual viewing audience to the forefront, which in turn will help the sport grow dramatically throughout the country. We may in years' times be calling the growth of soccer in the United States the Messi effect if all goes well. As for why Messi would make this move, like I stated earlier, he is 35 years old, still a great player, but after winning the illustrious World Cup, he has now cemented his legacy as one of, if not the best ever, and many feel he may want to step away from the spotlight from the European leagues and play in America where there is less pressure and spotlight, and play his final years out before he retires while enjoying a high quality of life in America and having more family time. The MLS has developed a reputation for being the place many international soccer stars like to play their final years, so it makes sense as to why Messi would want to spend his final years playing in America. Perhaps the most interesting part is him joining an Inter Miami team, which is one of the newer clubs starting only in 2020. The interesting part of that being, Inter Miami as of right now is one of the worst teams in the MLS standing wise, so it's not like he'll be competing for championships right away or going towards a contending team. Seems weird from a competitive standpoint, but like I stated, his legacy is cemented, so this seems like a move based not on a competitive standpoint, rather as one for himself. Either way, Messi joining the MLS is huge for American soccer and will be fun to keep an eye on. Next, we have some huge NBA news. It was reported that Chris Paul would be set to be released by the Phoenix Suns. However, later on during the day, it was clarified by Shams that the Phoenix Suns have not in fact released him. Well, at least not yet. They communicated with him their plans to release him by June 28th before the start of the new season. However, they are weighing all of their options for him, including trade deals for him, waiving him outright, possibly stretching out his contract to give Phoenix more cap flexibility this season. Even the idea of waiving him and re-signing has been mentioned as well. The whole situation seems just confusing as a whole, but from what we know, Chris Paul will not be on that massive contract come the start of next season. I think the most likely outcome out of all the possibilities are the Suns releasing him and stretching out the contract to avoid getting into the second tax bracket and saving some cap room, especially with the newer, harsher CBA rules coming into effect this summer. As for where Chris Paul ends up, who really knows? Like I mentioned earlier, it's possible the Suns try to retain him on a cheaper contract. However, I have my doubts about this happening. We have seen Chris Paul deal with many injuries over the past few years, and if the Suns really are trying to move on from his contract for more flexibility, I see them looking elsewhere and trying to fill out the depth of this roster, whether it's through the mid-level or trades or so on. I am not sure where CP3 fits into that plan. However, I am not fully opposed to them re-signing CP3 and trying to run it back. I'm just not sure that is the route they will end up going. Of course, the Lakers are huge favorites to land CP3 if he does indeed become an outright free agent, and one would expect one of his closest friends in LeBron James to try and recruit him to the Lakers. Chris Paul has family in LA who he has been away from the last few years now, and he fills a huge need as a playmaking point guard for the Lakers and would probably be seen as an upgrade over D'Angelo Russell. The fit just makes too much sense for both sides, and I would love to see him somehow find his way to the Lakers if possible. You also have heard a lot of rumblings about a possible return to the Clippers, and while it would add to the list of injury-prone stars on the Clippers, from a pure basketball and fit standpoint, it makes a ton of sense. Him with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard makes too much sense, and CP3 would fill a huge need at point guard for the Clippers. Obviously, there's a ton of familiarity there with CP3 playing for the Clippers for multiple years. He would still be in LA with his family. It would be a great fit for both sides, so don't count out the Clippers in the Chris Paul sweepstakes. Next, I just wanted to comment on the Ja Morant situation. Adam Silver announced before Game 1 of the NBA Finals that Ja Morant's punishment for his Instagram Live situation will not be brought to the public until after the NBA Finals, which I think is great for the players of the finals because it would take up so much of the news cycle and take away from the coverage of the finals as a whole. And it also shows that the NBA is not trying to sweep this under the rug. It seems like they are going to make an example out of Ja Morant, and the NBA delaying the announcement leads me to believe that it is going to be a pretty significant punishment. There have been plenty of rumors that the firearm Ja had in the video had an illegal attachment, which would make the matter a legal issue and make the situation as a whole just a bigger mess, but that of course is all speculation and rumors, nothing confirmed there, so let's not jump the gun on that. There also was Ja Morant's PR team and camp claiming the gun in the video was a toy gun and not a real gun, which just seems like a pathetic attempt at his team trying to save face, when we all know that's just simply not the case. I am expecting a lengthy suspension trending towards at least half a season for Ja Morant. However, we will have to wait and see at least until after the NBA Finals once they decide to announce it. Moving on to the next topic in the NFL world, DeAndre Hopkins has been released from the Arizona Cardinals, and perhaps the most interesting part about this release was that it was not a post-June 1st release, meaning the Cardinals will take on all the dead cap on Hopkins' contract this year, rather than spreading it out over the next 2 seasons. With this release, the Cardinals will take on $22.6 million in dead salary this year, rather than spreading it over the next 2 seasons at $11.3 million each. And a lot of people online were clowning the Cardinals for this move. However, I do get the rationale of this move. Kyler Murray is going to be injured most of the season, and due to that, the Cardinals are going to be bad this year. Like, they're going to be genuinely awful this year, and that seems like their plan going into the season. Taking all the dead money now on a season that you are basically punting away to have more flexibility next season when Kyler is hopefully healthy seems like the better long-term move. It is disappointing that Arizona won't get any type of trade compensation or draft compensation for Hopkins. However, that was expected with this huge contract going into this offseason. As for teams Hopkins may be interested in signing with, you of course have the major contenders like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, who will be super intriguing just due to the quarterback factor of having Mahomes or Josh Allen as your quarterback, and it's probably the easiest road to a Super Bowl if Hopkins is looking to ring chase. You have the rumors of a possible reunion with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. However, I am not so sure if I buy into this one just due to the controversy surrounding Watson, and the Browns just not being very good last year. I don't see them as major contenders in the AFC as of right now due to how stacked the AFC is. So I just don't see this move really materializing. You even have rumblings of a possible reunion with Houston, which I love from Houston's point of view. Surrounding a young QB like Stroud with an amazing route runner like Hopkins would be huge for his development, especially in his rookie season. However, I am not so sure how much sense this makes from DeAndre Hopkins, especially if he wants to join a contender. However, it's under new management, so I could see this return being a possibility, and I would really like it for Houston. As for where I think Hopkins ends up, I would lean towards a contender. I think a team like the Bills make the most sense to help push them over the hump, especially offensively. But overall, look out for teams like the Chiefs and the Bills to try and go out and sign Hopkins to put them over the top and be contenders for next year. Finally, we have the NHL Finals, which are in full swing. We have the surprising 8th-seeded Florida Panthers versus the 1-seeded Vegas Golden Knights. To start, the Panthers, who went from being last in the Atlantic Division to clinching a spot in the playoffs to now being in the Stanley Cup Finals. They were looked at to be completely destroyed by the Boston Bruins or Hurricanes in the first 2 rounds, but were able to beat the 2 top-seeded teams in the conference. This team has been on a tremendous hot streak, and they have taken full advantage of their opportunities. This is the true underdog story of the year, and it would be absolutely insane if they could complete it with a victory over the Golden Knights and a Stanley Cup championship. Matthew Tkachuk has definitely carried this team with his efficiency during the regular season and ramped it up during the postseason. He had 40 regular season goals and many more clutch goals throughout the postseason. You also have Carter Verhaeghe, who has led the team in goals with 42 in the regular season, and him and Matthew Tkachuk play very well off of each other. When they are not leading their team in scoring, they are setting up their teammates for some spectacular goals, and they have been just overall fun to watch together. Next, you have the Golden Knights, who made it to the finals as many predicted as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. This team comes down to the nitty-gritty when it comes to the fundamentals, and they definitely make their presence known to anyone they face. Jonathan Marchessault led the team in goals this regular season with 28 goals and is a major threat on the ice. Starting at right wing, he is always ready to attack from all angles and get down and dirty when it comes to stopping the puck defensively. You also have Riley Smith as Jonathan's backup right wing, and this deadly duo is so difficult to stop with teams having to deal with one or the other at all times. He is 3rd in scoring for the Golden Knights with 26 goals in the regular season, but this duo will be hard to stop, which we have already seen in some of the finals games so far this series. It has been very difficult for the Panthers to stop this deadly combo so far this series. The Panthers did win Game 3 in overtime, so maybe this is the start of a push from the Panthers to come back in this series. They will definitely need to step up defensively, allowing a combined 12 goals in the first 2 games. However, I would not count out the Panthers, who have continued to defy the odds this postseason, and this should continue to be a very fun and entertaining matchup. But yeah, those are the topics I wanted to talk about and give my takes on today. If you enjoyed this type of video and want to see it become a series, hit that like button and let us know you enjoyed it in the comment section, and comment what topics we should cover in future quick take videos. If you enjoyed this type of content, hit that subscribe button and check out the rest of the channel. As always, thank you for stopping by and have a great one.